Welcome to the Primitive Lifeways channel. In today's video, I want to show you how to properly sharpen your field knife. So stick around, I'll be right back with you. So after years of experimenting with different sharpening systems, the best one that I found are Japanese water stones. These are easy to use. You don't have to use oil, you just submerge them in lukewarm to hot water for an hour or so, and you take them out and they're ready to use. Word of caution, you do not want them to freeze, because if they freeze, they'll crack right in half like this one did. I had two that cracked and I had to purchase them. They are quite pricey, so keep that in consideration as well. This one has a little bit of cracking on the bottom. We can get around that, and this is still very usable. So I use three different grits. I use an 800 grit, a 1200, which is a medium grit, and then I use a fine grit, which is 6000 with a slurry stone. I'll show you how to do that a little bit later on. And then finally, I use a leather strop to polish the edge. So what I'll do right now is I'll submerge these in water, let it sit for about an hour and 30 minutes or so, and I'll show you how I sharpen my tools. Alright, so a couple things here. You can see that these stones are fizzing and bubbling. Once that stops, we can use these to sharpen our knives with. Also, when you submerge them in water, guide them down with your hand. Don't just throw them into the bucket, because these are soft stones. They will break. So treat them like pottery. They're very, very fragile. Alright, so we're ready to go here. I'm going to first start off with the 800. I have three knives to sharpen today. I like the Mora knife because it's a lightweight tool. It slices incredibly well, and if you use a knife properly, it'll last a very long time. But you can see it has this wide bevel here. This is a Scandinavian grind, and it's very easy to sharpen these tools. So you just lay it flat and you drag it across. So here's the 800. And I'll lock it into place, not too tight. Because this is a porous stone, you'll have to keep resubmerging it with water. They get dry pretty quick, especially in the desert. So again, I just lay this flat, and you can see how wide that bevel is. And I'll just strop across. And then I'll do the other side. Alright, so you can see it's getting dry. I just dip my hand in water and I'll go at it once again. And I'll spend usually about 10-15 minutes on each stone. So on to our 1200 grit. Another good thing about getting one of these bases is it ensures nice even wear by keeping the stone flat on the surface. You don't want this thing to waffle. So this is worth the investment. And when I first start to sharpen on a different grit, I'll add quite a bit of pressure into the stone. And then as I feel the knife is getting sharp, I'll let up on the pressure and I'll just glide it across the surface. Nice and smooth, nice and light. But initially, like I said, I bear down into the stone. And I'll spend about 10-15 minutes on this 1200 grit. Our final stone is a 6,000 grit. I'll take the slurry stone, create a mush up top, and repeat the same thing. Spend about 10-15 minutes on this, and this will really polish up the knife and get it shaving sharp. You can see that slurry up top. Add quite a bit of pressure in the beginning, and then of course feel the blade as it starts to get sharp and the stone does its job. I'll ease up on it nice and light, nice and easy. Well, you can see we finished up with the stones and cleaned up the blade. That 6,000 grit really polishes up that edge. But what I'll do to perfect the knife before I seal it with olive oil is strop this. This is leather with buffing compound. I have a rough side and a smooth side. So I'll start off with the rough side. And I don't strop this long, just a few strokes, and it'll be done. And flip it over, same thing. Now when I seal a blade, I like to use olive oil rather than gun oil because I do prepare meat and food with it, with the tool. And gun oil uses harsh chemicals. You don't want that in your system. So olive oil is what I find works best. And it'll protect the blade from rust and corrosion. Couple more times. And this blade is very, very sharp. To demonstrate how sharp this knife is, I'll shave hair with it. You know, I've always said a good knife is a sharp knife, but a safe knife is also a sharp knife. So if it shaves hair, you know it's safe. And folks, there we have it. Our knife is now sharp and ready to be used once again for field use and bushcraft. So I do appreciate you joining me for this video. I'm Jeff with PrimitiveLifeways.com. We'll see you in the next one. Stay safe.